Before diving into this incredible story, remember to subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications. Here, every story has something to say, and you won't want to miss a single one. The restaurant was packed that evening. The dim lighting created an elegant yet intimate atmosphere. Customers chatted in hushed tones, savoring their refined dishes, when suddenly a raised voice shattered the calm. An elegant man, dressed in a bespoke suit that exuded wealth, rose from his chair, his eyes blazing with anger. It was Ethan Blackwood, a billionaire known for his colossal fortune and ruthless temper. He pointed his finger at the young waitress who had just brought him his meal, his face red with fury. "What is this appalling service? Don't you know how to do your job?" he yelled, his voice echoing throughout the restaurant. The waitress, a courageous young woman named Clara James, felt her heart race. All eyes were on her, waiting for her to crumble under the humiliation. Yet, instead of looking down, she took a deep breath, raised her head, and replied with surprising calm. "Sir, if I'm making a mistake, I apologize, but shouting won't make your meal taste better or your day any more pleasant. Perhaps a little patience would do you good." A heavy silence fell over the room. The murmurs died away, the customers held their breath. The billionaire, used to everyone bowing down before him, stood speechless. No one had ever dared to speak to him like that. Clara continued, her voice clear and firm. "I served you with the utmost care, but if you would like me to provide something better, I will do so, respectfully." Anger never replaces professionalism. Ethan's gaze shifted from anger to astonishment, then to a strange mixture of admiration and respect. The people around, who had expected to see Clara humiliated, realized that she was the one who had the last word. And that evening, in that chic restaurant, a waitress had achieved the impossible. She had silenced a billionaire. Clara James wiped her hands on her apron, her heart still pounding after the incident with Ethan Blackwood. The customers were resuming their meals, but several were still casting admiring glances in her direction. She felt a mixture of pride and nervousness. She had just dared to do what no one else would have. Meanwhile, Ethan sat back down, staring at his plate as if the dish might suddenly transform before his eyes. He had never met anyone who had looked him straight in the eye and remained calm in the face of his anger. "Very well," he murmured to himself. "Who exactly are you?" Clara approached timidly, ready to take her dessert order. "Sir, would you like dessert or can I bring you the bill?" Ethan looked up at her, intrigued. I want to understand something. How can you remain so calm when I'm shouting? It's disconcerting." Clara smiled gently, trying to hide her nervousness. "I've learned that the anger of others shouldn't dictate our actions. And besides, sir, I believe everyone deserves respect, regardless of their wealth." Ethan remained silent for a long moment, reflecting on his words. For the first time in years, he felt challenged. No one had ever dared to say that to him so bluntly. That evening, in a small, elegant restaurant, something fragile yet powerful was born, the beginning of a confrontation that would change the lives of two very different people, but strangely linked by a simple exchange of words. The next morning, Clara returned to work at the restaurant, still shaken by the previous day's incident. She expected things to calm down, but as soon as she arrived, the manager gave her a discreet sign. "Ethan Blackwood is on the phone, he wants to talk to you," she whispered. Clara felt her heart race. Why would this billionaire want to see her again after their confrontation? She took a deep breath and picked up the phone. "Hello, this is Clara James." "Hello, Miss James. This is Ethan Blackwood. I would like to apologize for my behavior last night. And I would like to meet with you outside the restaurant. I feel there is a lot I could learn from you." Clara frowned, surprised. "Learn from me? I don't understand." "You have something I haven't had for a long time," he said, with a hint of hesitation. "Your calm, your courage. It's rare in my world." Clara felt a strange mixture of mistrust and curiosity. She knew it was dangerous to get involved with such an influential and unpredictable man, but something in his voice told her he wasn't like the others. "Very well. I can agree to a meeting. But only to talk, she specified. Ethan smiled behind the receiver, a genuine smile for once. Perfect. Let's meet tonight, in a discreet cafe, away from the hustle and bustle. Clara hung up, her heart pounding. She felt as if her life had just been thrust into an unknown universe, a world of power, secrets, and unexpected challenges. And that night, she would discover that even a billionaire could hide flaws that no amount of wealth could fix. That evening, Clara entered the small, unassuming cafe that Ethan had recommended. The place was warm, with soft lighting and polished wooden tables. She immediately spotted a man sitting alone in the back, his elbows resting on the table. It was him, Ethan Blackwood. "Good evening," he said, rising slightly, with a sincere smile. "Good evening," replied Clara, trying to remain calm despite her stage fright. They sat facing each other. For the first time, Clara noticed something else about Ethan. Beyond his usual arrogance, there was a tension, almost a vulnerability that he didn't show to anyone. "I suppose you're wondering why I asked you for this meeting," he began. "Yes," Clara admitted. "I must say I didn't expect you to come back to me after your outburst last night." Ethan looked at her seriously. "You have something that many people don't, you're not afraid of me. And that's fascinating. All my life, people have flattered me, feared me, or manipulated me. But you're honest, clear, direct." Clara raised an eyebrow, half surprised, half amused. "Fascinating, really? You're a billionaire and I'm just a waitress. I don't see what's so fascinating about that." Ethan gave a slight smile. "Perhaps, but that's precisely it. In a world where everyone tells me what I want to hear, hearing someone speak to me like you, it's invigorating." Clara felt a mixture of annoyance and curiosity. She didn't know whether to be wary or let herself be carried away by this unexpected exchange. "Very well," she said finally. "We've talked, and I've listened to you. But don't think I'm going to reveal everything about myself. I'm keeping my distance." Ethan nodded, respecting his limits. "I expected nothing less. And that's why I wanted to get to know you, because you have principles and you don't let yourself be intimidated." Their conversation continued, mixing lightness and subtle tension, and for the first time, Clara found herself considering that behind the authoritarian and angry man hid someone more complex than she had imagined. This encounter would be the beginning of a relationship that would challenge their certainties, and that would change their lives more than they could have imagined. A few days later, Clara was working as usual, serving customers with her professional smile. The incident with Ethan had been the talk of a few colleagues, but for her, he had become an intriguing, mysterious, and unexpected presence. Suddenly, a commotion erupted near the entrance. A drunk man had begun to provoke the staff and customers. The waitresses were panicked, and the manager hesitated to intervene. Clara, despite her fear, calmly stepped forward. "Sir, I would ask you to please calm down," she said in a firm but composed voice. The man burst out laughing and shoved her violently. The customers held their breath. Clara lost her balance, ready to fall. At that precise moment, Ethan entered the restaurant, as if he had foreseen the incident. In an instant, he rushed toward the scene, without shouting or losing his temper, and took Clara's hand to protect her. His imposing presence was enough to calm the drunken man, who recoiled under the billionaire's piercing gaze. "You'd better leave before things get worse," Ethan said in an icy voice. The man did not protest and left the restaurant, leaving behind a heavy silence. The customers applauded timidly, surprised by the speed and control of the situation. Clara, still trembling, looked at Ethan. "Thank you. I don't know what to say." Ethan shook his head, a slight smile on his lips. "You would have handled the situation on your own if I had arrived a little later. But I wanted to make sure you were okay." For the first time, Clara realized that Ethan wasn't just an arrogant or angry man. He had a protective and caring side, and his presence wasn't limited to wealth or power. That day marked a turning point. Their relationship had just crossed an invisible boundary. Clara was beginning to see him as a complex man, capable of anger but also of courage and respect. And Ethan, for his part, was beginning to understand that he had never met anyone who could look him straight in the eye and challenge him with such confidence. A few days after the drunk customer incident, Clara received an unexpected letter at the restaurant. She frowned when she saw the luxurious envelope. The logo of a prestigious company was engraved on it. Inside was an elegant card with a handwritten message. Clara, I'd like to invite you to a private dinner this Friday evening. There's something I want to show you and share with you. Ethan Blackwood. Clara felt her heart beat faster. Part of her wanted to refuse immediately. After all, Ethan was a billionaire, and she was just a waitress. What could she possibly have in common with him besides these strange confrontations and incidents? But another part of her, the part that had been intrigued and even a little captivated by him since their first meeting, pushed her to accept. Very well. I will come, she murmured, a mixture of nervousness and curiosity in her voice. Friday arrived, and Clara traveled to a sumptuous mansion outside the city, escorted by a silent butler. Every detail reflected wealth and refinement, but Clara remained focused. She wasn't there to admire the riches, but to understand the man behind the arrogance and the shouting. Ethan greeted her at the entrance, dressed elegantly but casually, and with a sincere smile that contrasted sharply with the image she had of him. I'm glad you came, he said, opening the door for her to enter. Inside, the house was more than just a symbol of wealth. It told the story of a man who had built everything, but who sometimes seemed lost in the world he nevertheless possessed. Family photos, works of art, and even old books covered the walls. I wanted to show you this, said Ethan, leading her towards a private library. He took out a dusty photo album and placed it in front of her. Clara opened it carefully. The images revealed a younger Ethan, surrounded by his parents and his first successes, but also moments of loneliness, doubt, and loss. I suppose I wanted you to know that behind the billionaire you see, there's a man who grew up, learned, suffered, and who never really found anyone to challenge or inspire him. Until you, he said softly. Clara remained silent, touched despite herself. For the first time, she understood that this billionaire was not just an authoritarian or angry man, but someone with wounds, flaws, and a sincere desire for connection. This dinner would be the beginning of an unexpected journey, where respect, admiration, and emotions would mingle in surprising ways, changing their lives more than they had imagined. After dinner at Ethan's, Clara couldn't get the images and words she had seen and heard out of her head. For the first time, she saw beyond the arrogant man she knew, and this discovery both unsettled and intrigued her. The next day at the restaurant, however, reality set in. While she was serving customers, a well-dressed young man approached her, looking rushed. Clara James, he asked, pulling out a business card. I'm Damien Cole, from Mr. Blackwood's communications agency. He asked me to deliver a message. He needs to see you, immediately, at the office. Clara frowned. The office? After only a few days of dating, why was Ethan inviting her there? Part of her wanted to refuse, but her curiosity won out. Upon arriving at Ethan's imposing headquarters, Clara was greeted by Damien, who led her to a modern and spacious office. Ethan was there, clearly in a meeting with his team, but he stood up as soon as he saw her. Clara, thank you for coming, he said, giving her an encouraging smile. Before she could reply, an employee ran past. Sir, there's a problem with your charitable foundation's project. Some documents have been compromised. Ethan frowned, but then he turned to Clara. I need to deal with this, but I need your opinion. You have a talent for staying calm and analyzing situations. Help me see things clearly. Clara felt a wave of pressure, but also of excitement. She understood that this meeting went far beyond simple conversations. Ethan considered her an ally, someone capable of helping him in his business and perhaps, in his life. For hours, they examined the documents and discussed strategies for solving the problem. Clara was impressed by the complexity and responsibility of her world, but she also saw the humanity behind the billionaire. He wasn't just in charge, he was genuinely involved. At the end of the day, Ethan looked at her with a mixture of gratitude and respect. You see, everyone else gives in to pressure. You, on the other hand, remain upright and clear. I'm beginning to understand why I truly brought you into my life." Clara felt her heart race. She knew she was entering a dangerous, complex world, but she couldn't deny that a strange trust was beginning to develop between them. And yet, in the shadows, external forces were preparing to test their budding bond. A few weeks later, Clara had begun to feel more comfortable in Ethan's world, while still maintaining her distance. Their relationship was still based on respect and curiosity, but an event would suddenly put their bond to the test. One Saturday evening, Ethan had organized a lavish charity party at his mansion, with influential guests and media representatives. Clara, invited as an advisor and friend, entered the great hall, dressed in an elegant but understated gown, feeling the gaze of many people upon her. Everything was going well until a press photographer, mistaking her for an employee or an unwelcome person, made a mocking comment aloud. "Ah, the waitress who thinks she can talk to the billionaire." A murmur rippled through the room, and several guests exchanged amused glances. Clara felt her cheeks flush, ready to retort, but before she could open her mouth, Ethan stepped towards her, interrupting the situation. "She's the one who helped me see things clearly," he said calmly but firmly, staring at the photographer. "She's not just a waitress. She's someone special, intelligent, courageous, and worthy of respect." The photographer, surprised by this direct reaction, stammered out a few apologies. Silence fell over the room, then several guests murmured their approval, impressed by the way Ethan defended Clara. Clara, moved but embarrassed, lowered her eyes. "Thank you, but I was just doing my job," she murmured. Ethan gently placed his hand on his shoulder, a protective but discreet gesture. "You don't understand. For me, you did far more than your job. You reminded me that all the power in the world cannot replace courage and integrity." That evening marked a turning point. Clara understood that Ethan didn't see her as just an employee or a stranger, but as someone who truly mattered to him. And Ethan, for the first time, publicly showed that he valued someone for who she was, not for her social status. But just when they thought everything was under control, a figure in the shadows watched the scene with a calculating smile, someone who would soon complicate their budding relationship. The day after the charity event, Clara tried to return to her routine at the restaurant, but her mind was still troubled by the previous day's events. She couldn't stop thinking about the looks on some of the guests' faces, the mixture of admiration and judgment in their eyes. Suddenly, his phone vibrated. An unknown number displayed a message. "If you value your safety and Mr. Blackwood's, stay away from him. Some truths are better left unsaid." Clara felt a chill run down her spine. She tried calling the number back, but it was already out of service. Was it a serious threat or a malicious prank? She decided to be cautious and talk to Ethan about it. Later that day, she went to his office and found him in a meeting with Damien. When Ethan saw her enter, he gestured for her to come over. "Clara," he said softly, "you seem worried. What's going on?" She told him about the anonymous message and the unease it had caused. Ethan frowned, visibly worried but controlling his anger. "I'm afraid someone from my family's or business past is trying to cause trouble," he said seriously. "But you haven't done anything wrong. You're just in the wrong place at the wrong time." Clara bit her lip, nervously. "I don't want it to be dangerous for you. I can stay away." Ethan gently took her hand, his gaze determined. "No. You've been honest and brave from the start. And I won't let you disappear from my life out of fear. We'll face this together, okay?" This promise warmed Clara, but deep down, she knew things were about to get complicated. The shadow of an invisible enemy loomed over them, ready to test their budding bond. That same evening, in a dark corner of the city, the mysterious figure watched Ethan and Clara from a distance. A cold smile appeared on its face. "They think they control everything, but they know nothing." Tensions rose. A silent storm was brewing, and Clara would soon discover that courage and integrity could be tested in far more dangerous ways than she had imagined. A few days after the anonymous message, Clara and Ethan were working on an important philanthropic project when an unexpected event occurred. An influential journalist, known for her aggressive investigations into billionaires, published an article claiming that Clara had dubious ties to fraud and financial scandals. Clara read the article, her hands trembling. It was all false, but the impact was immediate. Several restaurant customers turned away, and some colleagues whispered behind her back. She felt a cold anger rising within her, but also a concern for Ethan, knowing that his reputation could be affected by association. "It's not possible," Clara murmured, tears welling in her eyes. Ethan entered the office at that moment. He had read the article and his gaze became serious, protective, and determined all at once. "Clara, look at me. Everything written there is false. No one touches your integrity without me interfering." He took out his phone and called his communications team and his lawyer. Clara was speechless. For the first time, she understood that Ethan's influence and resources could protect her from threats she never could have imagined. But the situation took an even more personal turn when the journalist tried to contact her directly for an exclusive interview. Clara felt panic rising, but Ethan placed a firm hand on hers. "You will not speak to anyone. I will handle this. You stay with me." Clara felt both protected and troubled. She had never imagined that her life could be so drastically changed by someone she had only just met. That same evening, Ethan held a press conference to officially deny the accusations and present the facts. Clara, standing by his side, realized that despite the media storm, they were now a team. But in the shadows, the mysterious figure continued to pull the strings, ready to launch one last blow to break the fragile bond between Clara and Ethan. The silent war had barely begun. The morning after the press conference, Clara and Ethan thought they could finally breathe a sigh of relief. But the mysterious enemy decided to strike one last time. An anonymous package was delivered to Ethan's office, containing compromising documents that seemed to link Blackwood's fortune to dubious practices. Clara felt her heart clench. Everything they had built, all the respect and trust they had earned, risked collapsing in a few moments. Ethan examined the documents calmly, but his eyes betrayed a rare tension. Then he looked at Clara. "Stay with me. We're going to get to the bottom of this. You've been honest, brave, and dignified so far. We're going to prove it together." With the help of his legal team and Clara, they analyzed each document. They quickly discovered that everything had been falsified by a jealous former associate of Ethan's, someone who wanted not only to get back at him, but also to destroy Clara's reputation. Ethan summoned the former partner to his office and, with Clara at his side, confronted the man. The overwhelming evidence of the forgery was presented publicly, putting an end to all the accusations. The former partner was not only exposed but also sued for defamation and fraud. Clara then realized that what they had gone through together went far beyond external threats. They had faced fear, slander, and adversity, and their bond had been strengthened as a result. Ethan turned towards her, a slight smile on his lips, sincere and tender. "Clara, I think that from day one, you've shown me what courage and integrity truly mean. And I want you to stay in my life, not just as an ally, but as someone who really matters to me." Clara felt her cheeks flush, but she smiled confidently. I will stay, Ethan. But only if we continue to treat each other with honesty and respect, always." He nodded his head, a silent promise. That day, in the calm that followed the storm, Clara and Ethan understood that their encounter, which began with a simple exchange of words in a restaurant, had transformed their lives forever. The billionaire and the waitress had found more than mutual respect. They had discovered a rare and profound connection, forged in adversity and truth. And for the first time, they both knew that no wealth, no obstacle, no secret could break this bond.